This is the most overwhelming theme park I've ever been to. Dubai's Global Village is an elaborate and over the top themed entertainment complex home to rides, shows, dining, and shopping across 78 nations represented at this one park. In case you are unfamiliar, there are 195 nations across the world, so 40% of the entire planet has some sort of presence in Global Village, and that is wildly impressive. The best way I could describe this park is Epcot's World Showcase with a fun spot subsection. And throw in a little bit of Energylandia in there as well, because this place is grand. Some of the largest facades I've ever seen. I once heard someone describe Global Village as an assault on the senses, and I feel like there's no better way to recount how I was feeling during my first visit because it was sensory overload. So in this review, I'm going to tell you all about Global Village, describe what makes it so cool, tell you about the must-do attractions, and hopefully give some tips for your visit. Now, first things first, Global Village is primarily a nighttime destination, typically opening around 4 o'clock and staying open till either midnight or 1 a.m. And their entire season is from the end of October until the end of February. So only 5 months of the year, and that is because this is an all-outdoor theme park. If you're familiar with Dubai, their summers are brutal. That's why most of the theme parks in the area are indoor destinations. Global Village is an outlier, but they actually came first. Global Village opened its doors in 1996, actually in a different location, but it's expanded over the years, adding new countries, and it's become very popular with the locals. They receive between 6 and 7 million visitors every single year. Those are huge numbers, especially for having as short of a season as they do. And I think one of the reasons for that is this park is dirt cheap to get into. About $8. They do that to encourage spending money once you're in the park. Global Village claims to have 3,500 retail and commercial outlets, which is absolutely insane if true. Supposedly 200 of those are just for food. All of the rides in Global Village are on a pay-per-attraction system. Think of it like a carnival. You can load some money up on a card, tap in at each of the entrances, or just pay for one specific ride if that's what you want to do. And the physical rides within Global Village are actually pretty overpriced in my opinion. I think they do that on purpose, entice people with the cheap entry ticket, and then it's like, oh, now that you're here, $12 for this one ride. So you'll get a mass amount of people walking around the park and then no lines for any of the rides. We didn't wait for a single one. It seemed like many of the attractions were a one and done for a lot of people if they went over there at all. Honestly, the main draw here seemed to be the shopping and dining. You'd get visitors who are walking around Global Village with literal shopping carts, like they came to the park to get their groceries, which, more respect to them. Since Global Village has representation from countries all across the world, if you want to get something from your home country that you can't normally find at the different grocery stores, why not? And that alone makes this one of the most interesting theme parks I've experienced. I felt like the outlier, like everyone here is a pro. They know how to tackle Global Village. And then I'm walking around with my jaw hanging open, completely blown away at the size and scale of everything that I was seeing, and had no idea where to start. And I think it quickly occurred to me that it is going to be impossible to see everything in one visit. I had to prepare myself to not feel satisfied leaving. Like, see as much as you can, make the most of it, and the next time you're back in the Emirates, you'll just have to come back to Global Village. And I know for a fact that I would. I would encourage anyone visiting Dubai to come check this place out, even non-theme park fans, because you will find something here you enjoy. So let's break this place down into something more manageable. We'll go section by section. And I want to begin first with the entry experience, because Global Village has an enormous parking lot wrapping around the property. There's paid parking as well as free parking, and depending on where you go, you could be coming in through a different entrance. But those 3 main gates are all spectacular, and they each have a distinct Arabian influence, but reflect different aspects of the culture. This one right here is my personal favorite. It reminds me a lot of the Grand Mosque in Abu Dhabi, and I love the different colored lighting. It completely changes the mood and is really awe-inspiring. That is how you make a first impression, and it doesn't stop there. You have these wide open midways with just country after country down in a line on either side, which is impressive as is until you then realize you can step foot into any single one of these pavilions and there's shopping and dining behind all of them. That is where it gets overwhelming because you want to see everything, right? But when every single one of these nations has that, it's just not realistic. You're gonna have to pick and choose. For starters, we prioritized the larger, most prominent pavilions. That included Iran, for instance. This is a country that is in really close proximity to the UAE, so it has a huge section at Global Village. So consequently, we spent a good amount of time here. This included having a full sit-down meal at one of their restaurants, which I really enjoyed because it was a cuisine that I'd never really had before. Sarah tried out a special drink from Iran, and we just explored their markets. They sold clothing, pottery, jewelry, fragrances, because this whole park just smells incredible. Just about everything you can think of can be bought here. And each time you're walking past one of these shops, there's someone there working it, yelling at you and trying to wave you down to try and buy whatever they're selling, which is very common in other countries, and it can be a lot to process. If you even look in their general direction, they're trying to wave stuff in your face to convince you that this is where you need to spend your money. And of course, in each of the countries, the items you can buy vary, and some of them get pretty wild. When we were in China, we found full swords for sale. So of course we had to check out the Americas section. What would be for sale there? It's all like Mr. Beast Feastables and Mountain Dew. I'm like, yeah, okay. Interesting, that's what they think America is like. And of course that pavilion is just all Wild West stuff, with literally a Native American up there playing a musical instrument on stage. I'm like, come on. You have all these big beautiful pavilions, and then the America one was just comical. I'd say the most impressive pavilions I found were Iran, India, Afghanistan, and Oman. And then they'd consolidate some countries into one region. So they just have like an entire area for Europe, where you have like the Eiffel Tower, the Roman Colosseum, and Big Ben. That was pretty cool. So let's detour a bit from the pavilions and talk about the rides and attractions here at Global Village. Everything is pretty much consolidated to one area in the back called Carnival. I mentioned everything was pretty expensive. The lowest package you could buy to get you multiple attractions is the equivalent of like $40 US. So we really had to pick and choose which attractions we wanted to prioritize. So of course we did the 2 roller coasters. One of those is a Vekoma family boomerang called London Loop. Does not actually have a loop. And then the other is an SBF Visa, one of the bigger models. At one point, there were rumors that they might receive the former Dubai Giant roller coaster that was canceled from the Six Flags Dubai Land theme park. That was supposed to go right near Global Village, but obviously it didn't end up happening, and Global Village went for a Vekoma family boomerang instead. But one day I hope to see them build a much more substantial coaster. This place gets really busy. I think that a large-scale thrill ride would actually do very well here. Other standout attractions include their massive Starflyer and drop tower. That is the biggest drop tower in the United Arab Emirates. It is called Global Burj and was built by Funtime. It features a dedicated soundtrack, so as you're rotating on up, it gives you 360 views, and then there's a huge free fall down to the bottom where you're greeted with the thriller laugh. Very terrifying experience. Next door is their observation wheel. This gives you a much more calming view of the park, and I love seeing all the lights at night. Global Village is also home to a Gerstlauer Skyfly. Those are a ton of fun. On this particular one, I was able to really get it flipping. I think I was the only one on the attraction that actually understood how it worked, because I went upside down 35 times. That's always funny because it gathers a huge crowd around the attraction who are all just staring at you like, whoa, look at that guy. We also did their portable rapids. This one did not get us wet, really, but it was still kind of fun. It was cute. I really wish their suspended dark ride was better. This thing had a decent facade, but the interior is pretty much just empty. If you're really trying to choose how to spend your money, this is probably one to skip. One that I did end up enjoying, though, is their House of Fear. This is a pretty long walkthrough with some classic scares and a decent amount of actors in there. Those were the attractions we chose to do. The rest are primarily flat rides you can find at other carnivals across the world. Overall, it's a decent selection of attractions with a very lively atmosphere. I enjoyed it, but I can also acknowledge that it was a weird choice to build this highly themed park and then install a bunch of attractions that look like they were put up last week. It very much gave off the vibe of like cheapening out and doing more quantity over quality, but it still fills a niche in the market. Like all the other theme parks in this area are highly themed, so there is still a place for carnivals. They can coexist, and clearly they're still bringing in money. Even if they don't have a line out the door, at the rate they're charging, they're absolutely still pulling a profit. But if you're not interested in spending your money on the rides here, there are some other options for you, such as a Ripley's Believe It or Not or mini golf. Nearby is also a free model exhibit called Mini World, featuring some pretty incredible miniatures from across the globe. And of course, you also have the live entertainment. They have some pretty massive stages set up where there's always something going on. We saw singing, dancing, juggling, and elaborate light displays. And there's also a big stunt show towards one of the main entrances. Multiple showings a night. It is an upcharge though, so be aware of that. Unfortunately, when we went, it was one of the few nights when there were no performances, so we did not get to check that out, but I'd love to see that one day. My personal favorite live show was out on the lagoon where they have their own nighttime spectacular with this big dragon statue. There's fire, smoke, lasers, and different songs that they'll rotate through. So every hour there's a different show. Really, really impressive, especially since I had no idea that was even there going in. So that was a nice surprise. So to wrap things up, Global Village is a spectacle. Plan as much time as you can because this park is so much more than just the rides. I spent way more time in the main park than in the actual Carnival area. One complaint I've heard some people say of the Dubai theme parks is that they lack a soul, but that is most certainly not the case for Global Village. This place is chock full of personality. It's like a less pristine Epcot World Showcase, but on a more grand scale. And Dubai is all about scale, right? And it's also an epicenter or gathering place for different cultures from around the world, and I feel like Global Village is just about the perfect personification of these two ideas. And it is a party here. There's so much energy, and so that's why if you're visiting this area, I think it'd be a crying shame to not visit Global Village. Come see for yourself what makes this place so wildly impressive. So be sure to post down in the comments below if you've experienced Global Village, if you agree with the points that I brought up, and if you think there's anything I missed, be sure to let me know. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to check out other park reviews. We've reviewed places from all across the world. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.